where public-private partnership has failed in BPKIHS. He has not provided any analysis how public-private partnership has failed in BPKIHS, and we beg to differ. BPKIHS is functioning really well in the present scenario. Then the other rebut the opposition speaker one presented was Charles Sobras was arrested in Nepal. So people are not safe in Nepal. Let me remind you, Interpol was also looking after Charles Sobras, but our Nepali police, which is strong enough, caught Charles Sobras. Basically, the whole speech of proposition side was the opposition first speaker basically talks about how we have not addressed various problems like health and education, which I would beg to differ. That is, we have already addressed the problems by saying that we will provide equal education. We will improve the public schools. We will provide a better education to everyone equally, and then we will provide employment opportunities to everyone on the basis of their skills. That is, we are providing them skill-based training, we are providing them education, and we are providing them employment. Employment on the basis of their skills, on the basis of how they perform. Moving on to the next argument, the first speaker brought that I believe to be the major class of this debate, political fear in our current system. That's why we are trying to change our current system, which is not monitored by any other things, which the public service, with the government sector is doing itself, but we are introducing a new policy that is public-private partnership, where private firms are allowed to do work, and then the government will be monitoring them closely, and even the public will be monitoring the government, checking the government. The public will raise issues if the government has not done its function properly, and since we live in democracy, people's voices are to be heard. Then, moving on with other arguments, our opposition to provided. Earthquake. We have defined livability on the basis, we have said livability depends on the scenario, on people. When we provide these analysis and these policies, we are talking about present scenario. The scenario is not livable because we have been facing many problems like not proper waste management, like no proper electricity, but by 2030, around plus minus 2 years, because the proposition speaker has already pointed out saying it's just the arbitrary time frame that denotes sometime in midterm future. And if let's suppose a calamity occur, that's the scenario is different. This is not related to present scenario. In that case, the livability is defined as survivability. In that scenario, there are not people, the people are suffering, and we will address to the suffering people by providing them basic needs that we need to address during calamities. That is, if they are not living in a proper roof, we will provide them houses, a proper place to live in. If they are not provided with food, we'll provide them food. If the health issues has to be dealt with, we will deal with them. In that case, livability becomes the survivability. So we cannot just not level up, saying there will be major risks of calamity. Then, yes, please.
Yes, so you mean to say when the houses are all done and people are dying, you'll provide them with food? What kind of sense does that make?
I told that if people are suffering, if there are accidents, if people require health, we will address their health. If people require food, if people are starving, we will provide them with food. If people do not have a proper roof to live in, we will provide them with proper roof. In that situation, the livability becomes the survivability. Then presenting a case from our side, we have dealt with every problems that a livable city should that our Kathmandu Valley is facing. We are providing a proper policy where there is public-private partnership, and we are encouraging entrepreneurship, which will probably solve the job opportunities problem the second speaker pointed out. Then we are improving the quality of public sector. development. We are providing equal facilities to everyone. If a person is not educated, we are providing them education and skill, and then we are providing them job opportunities on the basis of their skills. We have addressed the environment. The first speaker of our side has already dealt with environment, that people are already becoming green. The evidence is increasing mass interest in cycling, which prompted the authorities to impose a huge entry fee in the national park. In the Shivapuri National Park, people are going green due to education they are provided, and since we are providing them proper education, we believe that Kathmandu will be a civilized city. Kathmandu will be a livable city by 2030. Being the optimistic side of the house, we believe that our house has certainly provided you a proper policy and given you evidences looking at the past and looking at the past, seeing the rate of the present and predicting in the future. We believe that Kathmandu will be a livable city by 2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ojashvi Patra. What has been definitely my most favorite speech of you this entire debate. I'd like to now invite to stage Whip of Opposition to deliver her speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. I come out of my house and I don't have proper means of transport to go to my place. And I'm not sure, and I feel some sort of fear to travel in a bus when it's after 7. And when I go to a hospital, I don't get proper treatment. Now, do you call that small problems? I don't think so. Now, talking about the recent rebuttals, what is the guarantee that there will be no calamities? And I don't think the government side has today addressed to the House about risk management. They said that we'll provide them food if they need it. They said that they'll provide health facilities if they need it. But how? Do you think that when all of Kathmandu is crashed into earthquake, where are we going to provide all these basic necessities? And let me make it clear to the House that even we don't have another airport. So where are we giving them all those needs that the government side has promised us they would? And the other thing was, well, it was really rebutted well. It was really rebutted well when they said that Charles was caught, but then questioning about the security, why couldn't they catch him while he entered there? Isn't that a poor security? And how many criminals are there unnoticed, uncaught? And doesn't that mean that we are poor in security issues? Also, let me make it clear that after PPP was turned out, only then PPK just was successful. Now, talking about how this debate went, there was a major flashpoint in defining livable. And they said that livable is not they said that livable isn't ideal, but then they also said that it doesn't mean that problems don't exist. But then I'd like to question the House, does that mean problems existing now and then means it's livable? They've not addressed which problems are we neglecting to call it livable and which not. The other point was there. The other point here was about social mobility. Now, let's think of a situation. They've talked about happiness and people being happy is livable, but then how are we going to address the job opportunities? Like people, okay, now let's take this point. Okay, you're educating everyone in Kathmandu, but then have you addressed the point where are they going to be employed? Just being educated is bad enough. Just being educated is bad enough. I don't think so. Have they addressed to the points that are we... And I don't think the government has major plans in 15 years' time to develop industries or any other sectors where we will give all those educated people as given by the people. Sorry. I was talking to my point that the government side has not addressed where these educated people will be given job opportunities. They've not talked about expansion of industries or any other employment opportunities. Now, I think the government side didn't even talk about our fragile future. I think they've sort of failed in this regard, because what we're saying is, considering the fact that we've failed in the past and we're messy in the present, we're saying that in 15 years we will not have a proper... Now let me ask a question to the audience and the judges. If you're teaching a student, then before his final exams, before his results come out, what is the base for you to predict his results? Definitely his previous class performances. And are you saying that in 15 days you'll teach him everything, you'll educate him as much as you want, and then he'll bang on? I don't think so. The other major flashpoint here was that the government side did not address the House about the environmental issues. What they said was, people are getting greener, but then have they addressed how the car sales is increasing because of the road expansion? Let me make this House clear that car sales have been increased by 30% recently, and if this week goes on, cars are to come in more and more, and maybe people are getting greener, but then will not those cars emit carbon dioxide? Will that not make the environment polluted? And let me also make this House clear that Kathmandu City ranks 177 out of 178 countries in terms of air pollution. Now, my dear friends, 15 years' time is not enough to make it cleaner, greener, and a livable place. The other Now, talking about how this debate went, and to wrap up, the government side came here talking about people happy with infrastructures, and they said that we will have the electricity needs met. But then, my dear friends, I don't think people of Kathmandu will call their place livable if they see electricity all the time, but then they don't have job opportunities, and then they risk their future. I don't think that's livable. And then they talked about improving public sector, but then given the past history, I don't think there has been no guarantee that the public sectors and PPP has well been addressed for development. And their third argument was the first argument was completion of ongoing projects, but then they've not told the House what are the projects for 15 years. We're not being hypothetical here. We need projects and we need to analyze them whether or not they'll be completed here in 15 years. But they have not brought us any projects, any development projects to be completed. So I think the completion of ongoing projects is clearly clear that. Talking about social mobility, we need to address. The House believes that we need people, everyone to be happy, and talking about social mobility, they have not addressed whether or not the minority group they've said that we will be providing them good health facilities, but will everyone afford it? Now, are we addressing the point of social mobility by making them happy in this case? So this point clearly fails. And they also talked about, their third argument was unmanaged urbanization will be solved, but then with no proper measures or no proper policies that will actually fuel this unmanaged urbanization. Now, coming to our team's argument, we said our below par past. We said that Kathmandu will not be a livable place because we have a poor past, and basing on this, we do have our messy present political instability. And I don't think, and I see no guarantee from the proposition side that this political instability will be solved. And our fragile future is, what if these problems continue? And do we have a solution for that? So given these three factors, we believe that our side has clearly stated you why Kathmandu will not be a livable place given the definition of the livable. And we've also said that, we've not said that Kathmandu will never be livable. We've just told you that by 2030 it will not be livable. Maybe long run, if you bring all sorts of projects, it will be livable. But my dear friends, 15 years is a joke. We cannot make Kathmandu go green in just 15 years. We need concrete policies. How are we going to discourage people from buying cars? How are we going to plant new trees? How are we going to address carbon dioxide emissions and all these factors? So given that we have new policies, then yes, we would be happy to see Kathmandu a livable city. Who wouldn't? But today, At this situation, considering all these factors, 15 years time, we're unlucky.
Speaker spoke for 8 minutes 17 seconds. Thank you so much for providing much deeper level of analysis to this debate. Now I'd like to invite the reply of the opposition. As it is in the WSDC format, the fourth speaker does not go relay back to the government. It goes to the opposition, to be fair to the fact that the Prime Minister of the government gets to set the definition. So I'd like to invite the reply of the opposition to deliver a speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point I'm very calm because I think we've presented the better arguments all in all. As fast and furious I was in my first speech, I'm not going to do that because I'm very calm and analyzing the debate. The smiles here show that the opposition side of the House is clearly addressed all the facts and why 15 years is a mere time constraint. To add on, the opposition side of the House has been very practical with valid data, and the proposition side have failed to address that. And to add on, I'm just thinking about Bagmati being cleaner. So, there have been initiatives from the public, but is the water from Bagmati drinkable? A definite no. Is the water from Bagmati useful for household purposes? A definite no. It's yet that sewage Bagmati. Talking about cultural things that the proposition side had spoken about for happiness, Bagmati is a holy river, my friends. It just flows by Pashupatinath, which is one of the most holy temples of Hindus. And have we addressed the fact that one of the most holy rivers of Hinduism is a mere sewage dumping site? And how are we going to clean that? Those things have not been addressed. Similarly, as I had already, as me and my friends had already spoken about air pollution and noise pollution, I'd also like to cite an example here. Noise pollution in developed cities are about 70 dBA, and in Kathmandu, it's about 120 dBA, exceeding that level in congested areas like Putali Sadak and New Road. And deafness is caused at 80 dBA. So what do we expect? How are we going to solve these problems? How are we going to solve the problem of air pollution where we cannot breathe fresh oxygen? So those are basic survival needs, not even livable needs, not even needs for making Kathmandu a livable city. When we don't have fresh air to breathe in, how can the policies made by the government side make Kathmandu a livable city when we don't have basic survival needs? And that's a mere point where the proposition side failed to address the fact that survival needs are not being met at this point. And similarly, we already highlighted the point about social security and so on, which has not been either refuted or not even looked upon by the proposition side because simply they accept it. To add on, we have already addressed that the system needs to change. Nobody is coming here and in 15 days going to change the course of Kathmandu Valley and it's going to develop in 15 years. They failed to, I think in the course of the debate, the proposition side failed to address to the House how these ongoing projects are going to be completed as my third speaker told, and what are the ongoing projects, what are the policies to come in. They've just mentioned policies will come in. Who is going to draft the policy? What kind of policies are going to come in to make Kathmandu a livable city? How are we going to manage things that are not managed today? By highlighting on the three arguments, our below par past, our messy future, and our messy present, and the fragile future, we have clearly stated to the House that it's not possible in 15 years, given the poor past we have and the same leaders, same employers, same people with the same job opportunities. No one is going to change their thinking in 15 days. Yes, they might change their thinking. They might be people that change the course of Kathmandu Valley, but 15 years, it's too less time. And as my second speaker said, the uncertainty is too high. And we